continue pushing toward the Hayden area, eventually North Vernon. You can see Seymour now being sort of squashed out of that tornado warning. So it's just what we were seeing, like, yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to go there. But nonetheless, we'll see this. You can see the damage that took place from that. You can see the damage that took place from that tornado that touched down. And there you see the tornado itself, starting with the funnel coming down to the ground. You don't always see it touch the ground. Sometimes you have to either see the damage or the condensation that reaches the ground. But sometimes it looks clear. It just depends what your view is and their vantage point. That was an impressive tornado that touched down in Illinois. We know we've had tornado touchdown in Indiana, not far from Martinsville. That's in Monroe County, and that's not far from the Bloomington area. Back to the radar we go. You're going to see that this storm is now crossing the county line. This is Jackson County, right over Little Acre. This is where we have the greatest rotation. We're just north of that. We're going to barely bring it into the far northeastern part of Jackson County, and then we're going to take that right into northwestern parts of Jennings County. Hayden would be in the path of that storm. This has crossed I-65. It will soon cross US 31. As this system crosses over, we'll see if we have had any reports of damage, any wind damage, any kind of information coming in as far as the wind or potential tornado. At this point, we've had no confirmed reports of a tornado. All have been radar indicated. Our winds in Louisville are gusting to 33 miles an hour. These are way outside of any thunderstorms. There are no thunderstorms nearby for us, and that's something we'll talk about and coming up in just a minute. Let's go over to Ryan.
Yeah, so I've been backing up the radar here, several scans on the storm that's now moving into Jennings County, and boy, has it really weakened considerably here. We have these bright colors back about 10:50 p.m. here showing incredible rotation, and then what happened? Whoa, this thing kind of fell apart, much weaker now. We went from, having 80-plus mile per hour rotation in the storm down to about 30 miles per hour near Jonesville. So this is weakening considerably. There may be a surge of some rain-cooled air wrapping around this storm, getting ingested into the updraft here, what we call like an RFD surge that may be choking this thing off. That is certainly something that we would be watching for here. It is also moving into an area that was not as hospitable for severe weather just because of earlier rain-cooled air and kind of sinking air from these storms that we had a little bit earlier today. I want to talk to folks real quick in Lawrence County, Indiana, who are watching from Avoca or Bedford or Mitchell here. This one supercell storm near Elliston, Indiana. This continues to not be impressive. This thing is really falling apart. We've got more good news than bad news for our area right now based on the last several radar scans here, Kevin, and let's hope that continues. There may be a world in which we're able to jump off the air here for a little bit and then come back on a little bit later in the evening when things re-energize. But for right now, both of these storms looking a lot less impressive than they did earlier.
Well, I'm seeing some reports on I-69 where we've had some vehicles damaged. That was back out in the Monroe County area, so that's just north of Bedford. Let me just sort of get your perspective here of where we are across our viewing area. 34 counties we serve. Most places aren't even seeing any rain. We've picked up our wind speed just a bit. 30, 35 mile per hour gust, certainly tolerable. To the north is where we have the strongest wind field going on, where we have these thunderstorms pulling down some of those very strong winds as the low-level jet stream continues to increase. This is the tornado warning that we've been tracking into northwestern parts of Jennings County. The idea with this is that as it crosses I-65, it's moving into a much more unfavorable environment for severe weather to succeed or exist. So I fully suspect, as Ryan pointed out, as this continues to move off to the east, it will be collapsing and fading away. It's going to be tough to maintain a whole lot of severe weather very far to the east. It may go another county or so, but by the time it reaches anywhere close to the Ohio border, that should be fading out fairly quickly. We continue to watch what's happening back to the west. We still have the opportunity to see some stronger winds develop with these storms, but at this point it hasn't happened. One reason why is we had rain earlier today in the mid to late afternoon hours with a canopy of clouds. That did help to stabilize things, especially across parts of our area, which would include areas especially close to the Ohio River. Now, we're going to continue to watch this. We'll see what happens, but if warnings do not come out over the course of the next hour or two, then we are are in really good shape for the overnight hours tonight. At this point, what we're watching happens to be the one tornado warning that still exists, where we still have some rotation showing up. I'm going to zoom into that, and I'll show you where we have the strongest rotation. You can see the inflow into that storm. The greatest rotation is going to be just now, pretty much at that triple point of the counties, moving out of northeastern parts of Jackson County into northwestern parts of Jennings County. So let me show you what that looks like on the velocity, and that is exactly where we see the greatest concentration of wind and rotation showing up. So that's going to be moving in. That should approach northwestern Jennings County within the next 10 minutes. Hayden, you're not out of the woods on that. North Vernon, should this get extended, you would certainly be in that. That's going to take aim on US 50 as that moves off to the south and east. It's moving at about 55 miles an hour across the area. So that's what we're watching. I know our sister stations and affiliates in Indianapolis have been tracking some of the storms as well. Ryan, I know we had some damage just north of the IU campus and north of Bloomington. That was in Martin County earlier. I think that was the strongest storm we've seen on radar today.
Yeah, no kidding. Some reports coming in from that. Monroe County, this was from about 11:03 Eastern time here. This was reported. Tree damage resulting in power failures in Ellettsville, Bloomington, and Woodview Hills area of the county. They had power flashes a little bit earlier this evening up there as well. Owen County, Indiana, 15-inch diameter tree and shingle damage in downtown Gosport. So for central Indiana, just south of Indianapolis, I mean, this was a pretty horrid tornado that moved through across I-69, just a little bit north of Bloomington there. When daylight breaks, we'll likely have the latest on what that looks like. We may get some damage video tonight. Looks like we've got a new warning. I just heard that in my ear here. Looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning, Jackson and Jennings counties in Indiana there, Kevin.
And this is going to be a severe thunderstorm warning, which again is good news. That just means that they too see sort of the weakening phase behind at least the rotation. It's still producing some strong wind, but North Vernon, Sand Creek, and Sand Creek will be in the path of this storm as it moves across Jennings County. So North Vernon in this wind field that's moving in, but at this point the National Weather Service is holding off on the tornado warning. And with that, we could still see some powerful winds, but at least the rotation seems to be weakening somewhat. When we look at, again, the home view, and I like going back to this just to point out that all of this is well north of Louisville. There is lightning with that, but even that has weakened. And what we look for back out to the west and northwest would be to see, are we seeing this line of storms, Jill? And this would be it. So this is something we'll have to watch. But what do you notice? There are no warnings along that line. So that's some good news. You see clusters of lightning. We'll see if that continues to intensify. It's going to be moving to the south. This would be an area that could still see some intensification from the storms. But the good news is we're starting to see this sort of get tampered down just a bit by the atmosphere that it's created and by the atmosphere that was left behind from the earlier rain. With that, we have severe thunderstorm warnings near Terre Haute. We still have severe thunderstorm warnings across northeastern parts of Jackson County and now into Jennings County. So this is really the only storm of concern in our viewing area, and the rotation is still there for the tornado warning that will go for another 4 minutes. And I'm going to zoom into that and let me show you what that rotation looks like. As I go back to that, I'm going to put the velocity on. And you can see that is the rotation and the couplet still there, but again, broadened out and not as intense as it was. So it is now crossing US 31. That's going to be taking aim toward North Vernon with a sharp push of wind on the order of anywhere between 55 to 65 miles an hour. Right.
Speaking of that line of connecting storms north and west of Terre Haute, let's time that out with Futurecast, shall we? This would probably approach the Seymour area just after 1 a.m. and approaching the Louisville area pretty darn late. We're talking after 3 a.m., maybe after 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, I wouldn't pay as close of attention to just how purple or how strong these individual storm cells look. We'll see if that unfolds. But nonetheless, the timing here, and these storms could be severe with severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings here, would be around that 4 or 5 a.m. I do want to add, too, Buzzkirk Road. This is in Monroe County. This is going to be north of Bloomington here. They have an reported entrapment and injury in progress distress as of 10:55 p.m. From a citizen radio operator. So at least one injured now in that likely tornado in Monroe County. Someone's trapped. They're trying to get them out. So there may be more of those scenes unfolding up there. So real sad news to hear that, Kevin.
Yeah, that is sad. We're getting some information in from some of the aircraft coming into Louisville. We see that there's a mid-level inversion that sometimes helps us as the storms move in. That will provide at least some help in terms of keeping the storms held down just a bit. So should that hold on, that would be advantageous for us. So the National Weather Service is saying they've been keeping an eye on some of that data as the flights have come inbound to SDF. And should that hold, we'll wind up seeing as those storms approach from the north, hopefully less robust storms arriving here in Louisville. So some good news. We'll be here keeping an eye on it. Right now, we're keeping an eye on this as this velocity shows it's sort of spreading out just a bit. Forward push of wind coming in. We're coming up on 11:15. The tornado warning is scheduled to end at that time. We will give you the day's news, and then we're going to carry on with some additional weather information. And we will certainly be on our streaming platform after the newscast tonight. We'll bump into our programming if we wind up with additional tornado warnings, but we're going to stay on even with the weather that's happening with severe thunderstorm warnings in the area as we go past the 11:30 time frame. But we will come up with just some news here at 11:15. Let me go back to our radar view. We'll get reset. I have the 10-day forecast I want to show you coming up as well. It's going to take us past the Father's Day weekend. You need to see that. Plus, we have another chance for some strong storms tomorrow. Meanwhile, across the area, the tornado warning that we have is going to expire on time at 11:15. It has been replaced with a larger severe thunderstorm warning that includes the northern half of Jennings County. This is for wind that's moving across the region, right?
Yeah, and at this point, no new damage reports to talk about here or any sorts of touchdown potential in Jennings County or Lawrence County or Jackson County, where we've been tracking severe thunderstorms this evening. So far, so good within our counties. Of course, we have had damaging tornadoes just to our north and just to our west here, Kevin.
All right, we're now at 11:15. I'll show you the radar view, and then we'll come back and give a recap. Let me just point out that what's happening across the area now is that all tornado warnings for our area have expired. We're looking at our home view. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for Jennings County. That is the only warning that we have. We will continue now with Wave News at 11 o'clock, and we'll bring you up to date with the full forecast coming up in the next 15 minutes.
With Alert Day coverage now, this is Wave News.
Hello, the UFO Sample Set Society joining the storm tracking team. Oh, this is the beauty of
there we go. There's our microphone check. All right, Kevin, thank you for staying with us. Ryan as well. We're going to continue our Alert Day coverage. These risks you guys were explaining creeping further south to us. So talk about the biggest concerns as we're leaving this window for the tornado warning. What are we looking out for now, Kevin?
Well, the first part is we can't rule out additional tornado warnings that may be issued, especially across parts of southern Indiana. We still have a strong wind field. We still have some rotation that is available in the atmosphere for these storms to tap into. It's 11:16 as the night wears on. This whole area is going to shift farther to the south, but as it does so, we'll lose more of the tornado threat and gain more of a straight line wind maker. The good news is we've not seen a whole lot of additional warnings issued across Illinois or Indiana for that matter, and we have somewhat of a cap here in Louisville. It's going to help us out as these storms push closer to us should that hang on. So all in all, we have some good news for us. Let me show you the current warning that we have across the area. It is a severe thunderstorm warning that includes parts of Jennings County, and that's it. That is the only warning. That will be in place for just a bit longer as we continue to track that storm off to the south and east. It really has been a wind maker with this. You can see the greatest concentration of wind sits just off to the north and northwest of North Vernon. As that moves through, we could experience 55 to 65 miles per hour with that. That said, the alert day will continue into the overnight and again for tomorrow. I would say we've got a chance for some strong storms again in your Thursday forecast. We're going to talk more about that in the 10-day earliest alert coming up.
That's That's why having tools and all the right information is so critical, Kevin, and you can stick with us for coverage tonight. We're going to break in with any threats, any overnight severe weather. We'll stick around with you. Make sure you have the free Wave Weather app downloaded to your cell phone. It's going to send you alerts that could be life-saving if you do encounter severe weather in your area. You can download it from the Apple or the Google Play Store. You can also catch updates on our 24/7 weather live stream, Wave Weather Now. In the news of tonight, tomorrow all eyes are going to be on Nelson County. Nick Houck will be back in court. The former Bardstown police officer, remember, is brother to Brooks Houck, convicted in the murder of Crystal Rogers. So again, Houck has been a central figure in the years-long investigation. Kentucky State Police say Nick Houck, they argue he committed perjury between 2015 and 2023. Crystal Rogers went missing in 2015 when police were questioning his brother Brooks. Nick called Brooks and told him to stop talking to officers. Nick Houck was fired in October of 2015 from Bardstown Police for interfering with the investigation. And you remember, he was arrested earlier this month and released the same day after paying his bond. Investigators have not yet confirmed if these perjury charges are connected to the Rogers case. We're hoping to learn more of that specific information tomorrow, so make sure to follow all of our updates on air and online on wave3.com. And also today, we learned the fate of a KSB trooper entangled in controversy and indicted on several federal felony charges